Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Odd Shaped Panel. Today, we are talking about science fiction.
Begin transmission!
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for...
My pants!
With me is the lovely Kimber Barrett.
Hey, everyone.
And I'm Tom Bennis. For those who aren't familiar with the show, it is a call-in show. We are encouraging you to discuss this stuff with us, because what do we know? We just like movies. The show's about opinions. If you want facts, you're going to have to check in with Ashley over at Fan Friction. She'll give you the facts. We're going to start off with our first question, which is, who is your favorite mad scientist?
It's Victor Frankenstein from the original Frankenstein. And the reason why is what makes a great mad scientist is that you sympathize with him.
That body is not dead. It has never lived. I created it. I made it with my own hands.
He also does stuff technically within the scope of reality. That's some of the best science fiction, is taking concepts that are realistic and kind of just twisting them ever so slightly to make it that, like, he does legitimate medical scientific research and just goes like, well, maybe if I stitch together corpses, I can bring someone back to life.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
As Dr. Frankenstein, a lot of mad scientists, they don't get to do what they wanted to do, and Frankenstein, he tried everything to do his creations. So
I think that's interesting because my choice is pretty similar. I would go Herbert West in Reanimator. He also wants to bring life, but the reason I think that he's almost like a little more interesting than Frankenstein is because he's not chasing after immortality as much as just chasing after knowledge.
You'll never get credit for my discovery. Who's going to believe a talking head? Get a job in a sideshow.
Be on it.
Hi! So my number one is Dr. Victor Frankenstein from Young Frankenstein. I don't know, his genius doesn't quite transcend his level of crazy.
Destiny! Destiny! No escaping! That's for me! Destiny! Destiny! No escaping! That's for me!
And I feel like most of the time, mad scientists, like, they're crazy, they're super crazy, but they're also, they've got their heart in it, in the right places. But Victor Frankenstein, he's a little iffy, I think.
He so does not want to live in the shadow of, I think he's his uncle in the movie.
Dr. Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
You're putting me on.
He doesn't want his name pronounced as Frankenstein, and he's trying to go against that, and everything he does to go against it, like, leads him down that path of creating that monster, and then at the end, like, calls himself Frankenstein. Those early Mel Brooks movies are just classics, so.
And the fact that they chose to do it in black and white is so important.
Yes, stylistic choices. We talk about that all the time in class. When a creator does something, it's for a reason. It's usually not on accident.
I chose Dr. Logan from Day of the Dead. He is the mad scientist who brings us Bub the zombie.
It can be domesticated, Sarah, don't you see? It can be conditioned to behave.
While his intentions are pure, he definitely breaches some taboos, I would say.
Breaks a couple rules.
Yeah. I mean, his intentions are good. Things don't go quite well for him.
So I've seen Tusk now, 4 or 5 times. And Howard Howe, that was the main bad guy of the film.
Howard. Now, Mr. Howe would be appropriate, but I prefer the intimacy.
That's the guy that made, spoilers, obviously, but Justin Long turned him into the walrus. Fucking scariest guy. Turned the most ridiculous concepts into, something that fucking I had nightmares about for
a long time.
A very long
time. Number 2 is Dr. Horrible.
So that's, coming along.
Yes.
Because, come on. Again, his agenda. He's in love with a beautiful woman. And now in Dr. Horrible 2, which better be effing coming out, because, I need it. In Dr. Horrible 2, I imagine that he'll actually be super evil this time and like revenge.
Yeah,
This is the dish he'll be serving, which is exciting. And my crossover scientist is Maester Qyburn of House Lannister / Bolton.
That's a good. I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
Game of Thrones. Yeah, his contributions to the world of zombie science are just like not to be rivaled.
Take the head.
Pardon me, Your Grace. I would take it if you don't mind. It could prove useful for my work.
I'm gonna go with Baxter Stockman. He's easily one of not only my favorite villains from the Ninja Turtles, but he was completely screwed over by science. He was taken by Shredder and Krang and thrown in a room. He thought he was going to be transported to another dimension, but it turns out there was a fly stuck in the room with him, and things went wrong. But yeah, he was a great one. Between him and Bebop and Rocksteady themselves, I think, are great examples of science fiction gone wrong.
Baxter Stockman has his own fly incident, and one of the biggest cornerstones in bad experiments is the fly. So it's cool how Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles used such a important movie as an homage. Do you think there's another worse experiment than the fly? Joe in the chat said Jurassic Park. That was actually my pick.
I feel like what happens in Ex Machina is pretty serious.
You want to see something cool?
That's a pretty terrible experiment. And the degree to which that goes wrong, I feel, is just infinite. Especially for Domhnall Gleeson's character. I don't know if you guys seen it, but
not. I really want
it is incredibly worth your time.
Moonshine, for example. If you don't do it right, you will fall horrible up.
I would say Julia from Hellraiser 2, Dr. Kennard, or however you say it, when he's trying to recreate the situation so he can figure out the secrets of the box.
The Invisible Man and the Kevin Bacon one.
Hollow Man?
Yes.
I'm a big fan of the sci-fi's reimagining of Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, man. Yes. Oh, super.
And that is amazing. It kind of teetered off at the end for me, but
yeah.
Gaius Baltar, I could watch him just sit in a room and talk to himself maybe for days.
I feel like all of my answers are going to be the obvious ones. You too, right?
It's I know a lot of people.
One word, J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, man. A lot of people have problems with J.J. Abrams, Star Trek. Even if I just think they were amazing. They were an excellent kind of retelling by taking someone else's story, putting a little spin on it.
Because I am better.
At what?
Everything.
Same with Star Wars. Again, I completely understand. I know these are obvious answers, but they're so good. They're how you know they're good is how rewatchable they are. Man,
Yeah.
I could watch the shit out of all those movies 8 times in a row.
The new Star Trek from J.J. Abrams, it has a very good special effects and visuals, and also to revitalize Star Trek again. Even my mother, she's a very hard Trekkie. She only loves the original series, and she loved that Star Trek one.
Yeah.
I was thinking that she was gonna hate it or something, but she loved it. And even I told her, she asked me who made this one, and said the guy from Lost. I was like, what?
You watch old Doctor Who and it's good, but it's old.
Yes, it all started out as a mild curiosity in the junkyard, and now it's turned out to be quite a great spirit of adventure, don't you think?
Watching, TNG, you can get through TNG, even though it's a little dated, you can still get through TNG. But I feel like Doctor Who, that's something that not everybody can watch that. If you have a problem with black and white or whatever, you're not going to get into it. But this new relaunch, of the past, 9 years now, that's, I don't know, I feel like that has really changed the game. You know what I mean? It's changed the game.
For sure.
For sci-fi, especially for sci-fi television.
Just remember who's standing in your way. Remember every black day I ever stopped you, and then, do the smart thing. Let somebody else try first.
Pick was the new Planet of the Apes movies.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, with Caesar.
Take your stinking paw off me, you damn dirty ape!
I really thought those were good. I like Andy Serkis's performance as Caesar, and the CG is unbelievable.
Oh
yeah,
my God.
what they did with those. I liked the Tim Burton one as well. I'm not as big of a
Me
hater
too.
as everybody is, but
Me
I
either.
really like the new ones. They've been really awesome. Like every time they announce a new one's coming out, I know I'm going. You know?
Yes.
When that chimp was riding with the two machine guns on that horse, and then he does that where he jumps onto the top of that tank, and they do that shot where it spins around. You see him. I was like, okay, like no more zombie or robot apocalypse. Now it's apes with machine guns. That's like number one, scariest dystopian future for me.
Hey,
Yeah.
buddy, you look like you have an answer.
Yeah, I do. It's a very, I think, underrated film. And I don't know if it technically counts as sci-fi, but it's called Brazil. And it's Terry Gilliam. It is a beautiful looking film. Also 12 Monkeys, which I believe that's also Terry Gilliam. Terry Gilliam just visually is just unbelievable.
I picked Avatar because that's literally the only reason I went to go see it, was because it was visually stunning.
No, you're right. It's visually well done and everything, the effects, but the story is not good.
That's why I'm concentrating only on the.
Yes.
I pick was 2001. That movie
Dub's
is.
pick also.
Yeah, I see Dub also picked that. That movie is beautiful.
To someone Spade, I only see the memorable scene with the monkeys. I had never seen the whole movie.
You should see that whole movie. That's an important movie.
Even though I just bought it, Clockwork Orange also.
Yeah, that's my favorite movie of his, actually.
What exactly is the treatment here going to be then?
It's quite simple, really. We're just going to show you some films.
You mean like going to the pictures?
Something like that.
That's another movie I want to see because I haven't seen the memorable scene with the eyes. Because
I have to see that movie. That movie's amazing.
I don't want to ruin your innocence. Maybe you shouldn't see that movie.
Blade Runner.
Oh, yes.
When you think about those scenes at the beginning where the police car is flying over the city and you have giant billboards. And the lights and everything, and then the style of that film is just so pretty. I love that movie, and visually, it's probably one of the most stunning films because it's more subtle than it's not a Star Wars or Star Trek, but it's
Well, you
really
brought up
beautiful.
Star Wars. Attack of the Clones, they almost straight up rip off that scene.
Oh, they totally do, completely. I hate those prequels so much. I don't even want to talk about them like they exist.
And Blade Runner is beautiful and beautifully written. That Tears in the Rain speech, which obviously was famously improvised, is like one of the best moments caught on film. So amazing.
Oh.
Time to die.
I love everything about Blade Runner, and I almost wish they didn't do a reboot of it. It's one of those perfect movies. It's kind of one of the untouchables, and we've gotten everything we needed to see from that movie. I just don't want another one, but
are we getting
we'll get another one? It's a sequel. I guess it's a
I'm
sequel.
open to that.
Well,
I want to see what happens.
Harrison Ford has said that it's like the best script he's ever read. So
The sequel.
Yeah. So I'm open to seeing what
I mean, I'll see it, but he was positive about Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and we all saw how that came out. So,
What are you looking at, Daddy-O?
You know what? Visually, the Blade Runner and The Shining have in common.
Yeah, what's that?
In the opening to The Shining, you see the aerial view of the mountains.
Right.
That's the same aerial view they use at the end of Blade Runner.
Really?
Yes.
All right, I'm a classic Doctor Who guy. I watched the new show, but I love the original show. And I think I almost prefer the old show when it comes to the TARDIS and time travel. Now they have they have a desktop for the control room, so that each new doctor gets kind of their own sort of custom thing. I really just miss that pillar in the middle with the circles on the wall.
Look, the round things. I love the round things. What are the round things? No idea.
And the plain single color, the peach or whatever it was, and just that humming noise of when they were just in there. Oh man, I think, and the traveling through space is pretty cool. The TARDIS flying through the time stream or whatever is pretty cool.
Sure. Mine is Doctor Who also.
Nice.
I love David Tennant so much. I wasn't.
Oh, David Tennant's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I love David Tennant.
So when the 50th anniversary came about for Day of the Doctor, and we got to see 11 go back in time, not using the TARDIS initially, seeing another use of time travel that we hadn't seen before on Doctor Who, to go back and meet 10, and just their
like the little wormhole thing.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Because that was opened up because of the power of
the box, the button.
Bad Wolf. I thought that for that it just brought everything together for me. It was everything I wanted, and more.
The Doctor Who's where they have other doctors at the same time are probably some of the best Doctor Who's they ever do. And then movie-wise, I might have to go with Time Cop.
Cool.
Because if you remember in Time Cop, you had to sit in this little machine and it would hurl you towards a brick wall. And at the end, if it didn't work, you ended up as a spot on the wall. But if it did, you kind of bubbled into over time you zap into, and then you're just wherever you end up. And I love that scene where he's going back in time for whatever reason, and he appears right in front of a semi. And has to dive down real quick. So it's not really flashy, but I like Time Cop.
I like the way they take that pod, but where does the pod go? Right? And then they're in the future, but when they come back, the pod comes back. The little cart.
My pick that I went with for my favorite time travel scene is in Men in Black 3, when he does the jump off of the building. That's an extremely cool visualization of time travel. He's falling and he drops it and he goes to catch it. It's prehistoric times, and there's dinosaurs and stuff, and as he's falling time goes completely forward, so all the buildings start building up, in the order
that's cool.
And a newspaper hits him in the face and it says oh, markets crash, and he turns and there's another guy jumping off the building, falling next to him. So as he gets closer to the ground, it gets more modern, and it's just a super cool time jump.
Yeah.
is when I don't know if you watched the show Lost, but when Penny and Desmond have that phone call, you gotta have to see the scene because it's like amazing. He like calls her through time, and it's such a touching scene. Like it's like I don't even know how to explain it, but that's like probably my favorite scene in TV history. Another cool, you're talking about time travel scene was I always talk about comics and stuff of the show Flash. So if you watch the second season of Flash, where the first episode where you actually go through time. He's running, he sees another Flash next to him, and he's like, what is that? And then later on you find out that's him coming back from time.
Let's try to tie in the time travel to Game of Thrones. Do you think what they're doing with the three-eyed raven is clever with Bran?
Yeah, I think it's genius. I love how they're tying in, like, you know, normally you flashback and see from the person's, like, you know, there's a person like walking and all of a sudden like it like goes and like it's like them in a flashback. This is from like an outside perspective. I think it's genius how they're doing it. Star Wars Alien. Maybe Nien Nunb, the guy who was like with Lando Calrissian in the second time they blew up the Death Star in Return of the Jedi. Oh. His co-pilot. He was funny. Just the way he talked was pretty funny. I mean, like,
he was in Force Awakens, wasn't he?
I think
he was one of the. What?
Oh yeah, I think he was.
Yeah, I think my favorite has to be Salacious Crumb, which is Jabba the Hutt's little jester sidekick dude. I love that guy. Like, yes, that is the best friend everyone needs. He laughs at your jokes. He's always a good time. He knows how to party. He's like the Andrew WK of aliens.
Cheating for future questions. My pick is also from Return of the Jedi, and it is the Rancor. It is a staple in Star Wars mythology. Anytime you play a Knights of the Old Republic game and a Rancor shows up, you know something is wrong. It is like, yeah, people can argue that Luke took it down pretty easily, but Luke is also a Jedi who's sensitive in the Force. Anyone else has no chance.
I like Twi'leks, I think, like as a race. There's not a specific Twi'lek character except maybe Mission in Knights of the Old Republic that like really has a big role. I mean, I guess when you get more into Clone Wars and stuff, there are some Twi'leks. I keep forgetting about that. I don't watch a lot of it. I'm aware of it. I just haven't watched it a lot. The ladies, you always see them like working a sexy job, and the dudes, they wear their head tails kind of like a scarf. They're very much, like I don't know, like a 40s guy kind of like style.
Well, thank you everyone who joined the conversation today. I think this may be one of our best episodes.
Sure.
A lot of good content.
Amazing guests. Thank you
Amazing
all.
guests.
Bye.
Bye.
I don't know if any of that was good.
The moonshine bit was pretty good.